Hello, in this video, we're going to give you a tour of the Aptora Mobile II app and show you how to get around and cover basic navigation. When you launch the application, you will enter your username, password. You also have the ability to maintain multiple companies. You could have your company, and then you could have a training company, or if you own multiple businesses, you could load those in the list as well. You'll see the version number here. Click Login. This is your initial screen, the home screen, if you will. And what you see here isn't necessarily what you might see. You have control over what you're looking at. This can be a little overwhelming. When you first come in here, you might say to yourself, this app is very complicated. The app is rather large and very feature-packed, very powerful, but that doesn't mean that you have to use all of the features. If you click the hamburger menu, and that's what those are called, and go to Display Settings, you should see a button called Customize Home. This would allow you to hide many of the things that you see on the home page. You just might not need those features, such as phone messages. Maybe you would never get a phone message or a reminder. These things usually originate in the desktop application from the office, and they just might not apply to you. But if you are an office user that also uses the app, then you might like to have those. We suggest that you clean up the interface, especially in the beginning, so that you're more comfortable using it. Go back up to the hamburger menu and let's go to Master Lists. This is where you will find much of the information that's in the desktop program, such as a list of all of the company's appointments, customers, customer equipment, employees, estimates, invoices, inventory. It just goes on. You can see all of these options. You control access to these through security, through granting permissions. The average user probably doesn't need to get into all of these things. So you want to give thought to what you want to allow people to access. Let's go into the customer list. The customer list loads empty. I have it loading empty, so it's a little faster because chances are I need to search for whoever I'm looking for anyway. I'm going to type in a last name. I could type in an address, first name, whatever. I'll replace that with a first name, and you can see it's returning people who have that same first name. You could type in a phone number, whatever you like. You will see an eyeball icon and an edit icon. If you wish to go right into edit mode, click that. Otherwise, if you want to view the record, just click on that. And this will take you into the customer's record, and you have access to most of the information that you would have access to if you were using the full desktop application. You'll see all the contact information, basic contact information here. You'll see various documents that might be associated with this client. The Contacts tab would load all the various names, titles, email addresses of those people. Details, just like in the desktop application, user-defined fields, addresses, contact information, payment information, and job-specific information. You also can click the hamburger menu and you have the customer's history, all of their equipment. You can look at their contact log records. Let's just click that one. Here you have all of the contact log entries, just like you are in the office looking at these records. Click the back button. It'll take you back to where you were, the log list, contact log list. Click it again, back to customer view. I won't take the time to go into every one of these, but this is the same history that you have in the office. All of the history. You decide if you want users to be able to access this. This would give you a list of all of their sales, invoices, work orders, service agreements, appointments, sales opportunities. You get the idea, every bit of it. You'll also be able to see a list of all the equipment that they own, and the equipment has its own history. So you could double click into this furnace and see the warranty information, manufacturer's warranty, notes, pictures, user-defined fields, and more. Go back to the customer. We can look at heat gain loss calculations we've done. We have links to create all kinds of different things for this particular customer. And if you're using our document management system, then you will see all the different things that you've created using our form builder product. All right, so I'm going to go back home. Now remember how I got there. Hamburger, master lists. These are all the lists. And again, you want to decide who can get to those. Let's go back to this menu. Quick Add allows you to quickly add various records. Like for example, you might want to add customers, contact log entries, estimates, sales opportunities, reminders, things like that. Controlled through permission, of course. Basic company information, your company, federal ID, sales tax numbers, things like that. The form builder, we have videos on that. Let's click more. Let's see what's under more. Under more, we have all of our security settings. When you click this, you can manage user permissions, change passwords, examine the audit trail. The audit trail tracks everything everybody's doing, just like the desktop application. We have videos on how to set up user permissions. They're very extensive. We won't get into that here. Settings. Lots of settings. General settings would be found here. That's sort of a catch-all. This is where you would set up this user's email, invoice, print, and email settings. Same with estimates, work orders, purchase orders. That controls how it looks when you print it or email it. You can set up your credit card and signature system here rather than make you live with certain text under a signature box. You can customize all of that here. The software is very customizable, lots of preferences, options, settings. It can be a bad thing too. It can be a little overwhelming, but our industry loves flexibility and everybody seems to have their own way of doing things. Display, that is the same button we saw earlier. We just made it easier to get to by putting it in the menu. How do you want to search the software? We have search options here. You can pick from the various records and choose how you want to search for those records. We have an automated email and texting system. Those are settings related to that. We have a flat rate pricing book and sales presentation guide. We call that entire system the investment guide. These are settings that control that. They are fairly extensive. You can decide exactly how you want the shopping cart to work, how you want financing to work, interest rates, discounts, etc. We have a chat system. The settings are located here. And we also give you the ability to customize the various grids or lists. We mean the same thing when we say lists or grids here. You can decide which list you want to affect, like our sales opportunity list, our customer list. Let's click that one. These are the different column names that are available to you. You can add or subtract columns, rearrange columns. When you're ready, you would hit update the settings. Take time to study the settings. They are very extensive, as I said, and it does take a little time to get used to them. Let's go back. Calculators. We have a loan amortization calculator. We have a heat gain loss calculator. We have very extensive help topics. And we have various plugins such as dashboards, company dashboards, technician dashboards, employee performance dashboards. We have the ability to create your own forms, data entry forms in the app. You can create PDFs to output data to, and more. Back to home. The best way to learn all of these things is to get in and just start using the software. For example, open up a work order. Get used to navigating through the various tabs. Be sure to click the menu, the hamburger menu, usually in the upper right-hand corner. Get familiar with the various options that are inside that menu. And like we've said, there's quite a few options. When it comes to lists, it's a good idea to practice going into a list, especially if you're a trainer. Open up a list such as customer equipment or customers, and be sure everybody understands how the lists work, how to search. One confusing aspect is this: likes, like or contains. If you type in James, if James is anywhere within a string, letters in front, behind, it'll still return those records. You might rather want starts with or exact match. It can get confusing when you don't understand how that's working. You might see a little funnel here, like you have seen maybe in Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. Very similar. You can do really extensive filtering of the list if you want to. You also can sort. I hit that by accident, actually. I meant to come back here. You can do very extensive filtering and clear the filter when you no longer need it. And as you saw, you can sort just by clicking on the headers. You can see the balance of the customer. That would be true in the vendor list as well. That is a preference. You do not have to show the balance if you do not want to. Go back to home. Let's go into our timesheet entries. You want to be sure that only the right people have the correct permissions and access to the timesheet entry. You'll be able to see how many hours you've worked in the period. This person sure hasn't worked very much, have they? They'll be able to see how many hours they've worked in the payroll period, that pay week. They also have the ability, if you allow them, to enter timesheets and view and edit timesheets for other people. You typically only allow that for a manager, supervisor, or maybe the leader of a crew. Spend some time looking at this feature and setting up the permissions correctly. When people enter their timesheets in the mobile app, it does require there to be certain defaults in Total Office Manager, the desktop application. So pay attention to that. You'll get warning messages if you haven't set up the desktop application properly. Overdue reminders are handy. Again, you can turn those off. You don't have to show a lot of this information if you don't want to. You'll grow into it. There are videos that explain a lot of these things in depth. Please watch those videos. This was meant to be just a quick overview. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. I'll see you in the next video.